Thank you so much for joining us, David. Militants in Mali are said to have advanced into the east of the country in recent days. What do you know about what's happening, and what more can you tell us about the situation?
Hannah, you're right. There has been an upsurge, but as militants have always, operated across Mali. Of course, in 2012 we had the so-called Tuareg rebellion, which began in the north. But then after Operation Seval, by the French, but of course, Operation Barkhane, there was a further spread, and we saw militants, moving towards the central part, close to Bamako. But what we've seen recently, as you said, is an upsurge in attacks, around the regions of Menaka and Gao, which of course, as you know, Gao is the triangle of the Liptako Goma that borders between not just Mali, but Niger and Burkina Faso. So I think, the obvious reasons, are quite, I can put that in very four short, sentences. One of that is that, perhaps the real reason could be that the vacuum that has been left, by Operation Barkhane after the withdrawal of French forces, or the movement of French forces towards towards Niger Republic, may have created a space for the jihadists to advance towards that region. But of course, we still have the British forces situated in Gao under the UN mission. I think the second reason also could be that it could be a balloon effect, whereby the Malian forces are, storming upon, the strongholds of jihadists in other areas, and then, of course, they're now moving to other regions. Some sources say the eastern part of Mali is a source of recruitment, and therefore ISIS, in the Greater Sahel, would love to have a base, or a much more stronger base, now that the French forces have left the region. But the fourth reason, I have to add this, Hannah, is that, perhaps the jihadists are looking to overstretch the counterinsurgency operations that is being launched by the Malian forces with help, from other friendly states. But again, this is an upsurge. It's not new. Jihadists have cut across Mali in recent times.
So now, David, what we're hearing is that pro-Russia sentiments have been growing in both Mali and neighboring Burkina Faso. In your view, can Russian fighters fill that vacuum that's been left by the withdrawal of French forces?
I am of the view, Hannah, that you cannot have Russian forces, or you cannot expect the few Russian fighters or mercenaries or helping forces, whatever language you prefer to call them. You cannot have them to be the solution, in terms of helping the Malians to deal with an insurgency which is clearly rooted within the local dynamics. Just as we couldn't see a successful mission from the French, despite deploying about 5,000 forces. And of course, this is a huge number compared to what the Russians have on ground. Now, the Russians, are saying clearly that, these are advisory missions. The Malians are being very quiet about it. But other Western nations are saying they're mercenaries and they're fighting in the forefront. But again, when it comes to counterinsurgency, I would prefer that we have the Malians, lead the way, even in terms of numbers.
Thank you so much for all that, David Otto-Endeley.